Hey everyone, my name is John with the Caricature Entertainment, and this is our bonus critique in the tutorial series. We're really excited to share just some feedback to some of the artist work. And in this case, Angie has uh, so generously offered her art from our retail location in Escondido at the North County Mall inside the Cultured Vibes. We're going to be looking at her work that we also saw in round 3 of this tutorial. And we're going to look at it this time with an eye for composition. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, folks. You may remember this from critique number 3 in this series. We've got this beautiful young lady. We looked at it just with an eye for cute. We talked about age proportion. So here we're looking at this drawing again. The dynamic use of the pink to make sure that we see the young lady. I really like the choice of the pink to really push the yellow and the tones that she's chosen in the actual caricature to really make it pop. I'll try to bring that same accent into the drawing we do today. What I would like to talk about is the composition. That's part of our Magnificent Seven. We're always looking at making things cute. We can make it funny. We can do style. We can work on composition. We can work on perspective. We can also play with line work and finally color. So here we have it. When I look at her work, one thing I'm going to point out is that it seems as though in this picture, the arms just disappeared. What I see when I find people who are drawing without a plan of the composition, you're going to find a lot of arms just drifting off or hiding behind the body because there wasn't really an idea of if we start with face first, we're going to get into a situation where we've got these parts, and if we don't know what to do with them, sometimes they just disappear. So here you have a standard 11 by 17 sheet of paper. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be mindful of something that, as an illustrator, I think it's called the gutter. And basically, I'm going to eliminate a huge portion of my drawing on the left and on the right. Also, I'm going to take a good inch and a half off the top and the bottom. That gutter, these areas here, are areas where I'm not going to overemphasize or put in any details that might actually assist with this piece. Now that I have this built-in frame, I'm going to divide it into thirds. I'm also going to divide it now into ninths, equally going across. Okay. Now, there's some reasons why I do this. Some of you may know the rule of ninths. We're going to take it with a different mindset. If I'm drawing folks or drawing a single person, one of the things I want to do is I want to find where the center of my frame is. And then, so I'm going to make this the center. If I have more than one person, I'm going to push them out. So if I have and here. Now, this is where I would place everyone if they were adults. But we're keeping it in the center, dropping it a little bit because she's a child. Now, in my sketch, I also look at the areas where these lines meet. I'm going to call those focal points. So somehow, some way, I'm going to make sure lines enter into those points for emphasis. So going right into the drawing, I know that when I draw kids, one of the things I like to do is I always start with their jawline. So I'm going to try to stay as true to Angie's original drawing. It's kind of a 3/4, but not fully. The little girl, at least in the picture, I can see her ear on one side, but not on the other. I also see that she's got a side part right here. So you can see right now, without even a lot of pre-planning, because I have in mind my focal points, I've dropped the face a little bit smaller. So, but again, looking at the big scale of the paper, where Angie may have started the face up in this, the center top, I'm starting center bottom. Now she did a really good job here with the hair. Oops. All right. I'm looking at the hair. Wanted to hit that focal point, but I don't think that works there. Well, so because I planned this picture, you can see even with the emphasis still in the center, dropping it down, I'm going to start using the hair, which is not a focal point, to fill in the rest. Now, something that happened with Angie's sketch is we lost the arms. So let's bring it back. So if you get caught where you've now have nowhere to put the arms, again, most caricatures are just shoulders up. So de-emphasize. So instead of putting the arms to the straight side or to the back, cross them in front. A great artist that I respect, she once told me, just fill in the rest with hair. Now, that is using the gutter, using the rule of thirds, the rule of ninths. I dropped her from the top middle to the middle bottom. I've used the hair to fill. I've hit my 3 out of the 4 focal points. And then instead of having arms disappear, I put them in the front. Now, let's watch that without the grid. See it one more time. So again, I'm mentally aware of the gutter. I'm aware of dividing this into thirds, but also then dividing it into ninths. I'm now able to measure accordingly. Just for bringing in a past practice, I'm going to go ahead and do a little contra pasta or counterpose. So I'm going to drop one shoulder down. I'm going to have one arm in front. I see that one ear. So if I measure the nerve, we're hitting here, we're hitting here. We also have fill in with hair. Now with number critique 3, let's go ahead. We're going to keeping her in that age group of 5 to 7. Maybe some different eyes than the previous. Now that I have all that filled in, I'm going to use a little bit of the same method that Angie did in her original sketch. Like that. Also put a black line around it. We're using graphics to fill in, but also acknowledge that the gutter did exist. There we go. I'm not sure about these swirly shapes. I figure that's again another little anime influence. Do my best. Sparkles. So as a composition, when I'm looking at this drawing, I can see I still have that graphics. I was able to keep her looking young by having the arms drift, keeping the head in the center to the bottom half of the paper, letting the hair fill in the volume of the rest of the composition, and then using the technique that she had with the framing. It's just being mindful of the gutter. All of this area here visually is not important, but we can fill it in. And there you have another successful retail composition. I could finish this here in just a minute, put in a couple other effects. If there's parts to this drawing that you go, hey, I would love to see this drawing done a different way, please feel free to put something in the comments. If you're interested in learning more about some of the techniques that we're doing here, of course, we can do that in future sessions with your work as well. Feel free to text or email us some of your drawings with the guest holding or as a reference. But there you have composition. So let's go back and review. We'll take a look at the original sketch. Now that you have a slight understanding of the rule, you can see that in the original, head placement was too high, which forced me to make some choices with drawing clothes that would bring my eye down to things that are unnecessary, like the dress, like the layers of clothing. Emphasizing in the aspect of keeping this child young, we dropping her from the center up, as in this picture, to looking at her centered down. So that's it. Hey, my name's John with the Caricature Entertainment. Thank you to Angie for giving us a second chance to look at her drawing. Here we focused on just a simple mind of respecting the gutter for composition. I added in there the rule of thirds and the rule of ninths. Pre-planning, bringing the eye from the center top to center down. And then just a few little playful things you can do with the arms so they don't just drift off into no space. Hey, everybody. We'll see you again every Wednesday and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Keep it simple, keep it personal, make it memorable.